Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Monday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grad. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to hear our thoughts on athletics baseball and kicking off a brand new week of ball. Today is Monday, June 15th. We've got a good show for you. We are going to start by recapping the back end of the Las Vegas week of games as the A's concluded it on a winning note, completing a 4-2 homestand in Las Vegas by taking 2 out of 3 this past weekend against the Colorado Rockies. As we dive into our recap, discuss how it all went down, hand out our 3 A-star performers, and move on from there. We will take a look into some injury updates as the A's got one of their stars back and saw another one of their stars hit the injured list as we discuss those 2 correlating moves and what impact both of those may have on the team moving forward. And then before getting on out of here to prepare for a new week of A's baseball, we are going to preview their next opponent as the A's are back home in West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park as they welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates for an interleague 3-game set later on this evening. Thank you all for taking the time to be on here with the radio waves with us. We're excited to talk about the green and gold. Holy Toledo, let's get to it, and let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you so much once again for tuning in to our latest edition of A's Day on this Monday, or whenever you're listening to this edition of our show. We appreciate all of your support as always. All right, so let's jump into our first topic of discussion and discuss how it all went down against the Colorado Rockies, as we're going to jump right in to our Game 1 recap. A weekend in Las Vegas was had to wrap up Vegas week for the green and gold. Coming off winning 2 out of 3 against the Brewers, the A's looked to keep the good times going against the Rocks. Friday night at Las Vegas Ballpark featured Sean Sullivan going for the Rockies, going up against A's left-hander Gage Jump. The Rockies went with the opener in Sullivan, which was not announced until game day, and he ended up providing 3 innings of shutout baseball. We would remain scoreless in this one until the A's would get the scoring started in the bottom of the 5th. In the 5th, the A's flipped the power switch on to get the offense going. Shea Langoliers and Nick Kurtz smashed back-to-back solo home runs with 2 outs in the inning to give the A's a 2-0 lead. To the 6th we go. Up until this point, Gage Jump was pitching on cruise control, but then he finally ran into some trouble against the Colorado lineup. After loading the bases with 2 singles and a walk to kick off the inning, the A's would turn to the bullpen. On would come Justin Sterner. After striking out Hunter Goodman, the Rockies went to work with 1 out. Troy Johnston hit a sacrifice fly to cut the deficit in half to 2-1. Next batter up, Cole Carrick demolished a 3-run home run to right center field to give the Rockies now a 4-2 lead. With the blast, that would bring an official close to Gage Jump's pitching line on the day. Jump, he went 5 innings in this one, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. In the bottom of the inning, the A's answered right back. Max Muncy would deliver a 2-run double, bringing home Zach Geloff and Jacob Wilson to tie this game up 4-4. In the 7th, the A's would grab the lead via a Carlos Cortez fielder's choice, allowing Lawrence Butler to score. It's now 5-4 A's. In the 8th, the A's would get a little insurance via an RBI single by Lawrence Butler to grow the lead to 6-4. To the 9th we go. Back out is Hogan Harris to complete the 4-out save, and he does just that. It goes Jump to Sterner to Barnett to Harris, who picks up the 6th save of the season. Ball game over. A's win 6-4 and take the first game of this 3-game set. So Gage Jump, we'll start there. Think overall he was more solid than not in this start. 5 clean innings, seems like he was on cruise control, and then all of a sudden his command really escaped him. It seemed like he was falling behind hitters in that 6th inning. missing in some very hitter-friendly locations, and the Rockies took advantage of that. They made their adjustments their third time through against them as well, and that is just all part of the learning process for a jump at the major league level. Yes, this is another strong start if you're going to look at it statistically, but not necessarily as efficient or dominant as he was his previous couple times out. And not to say that this wasn't a positive showing all in all when you talk about it in its entirety, but that just goes to show you how good Jump has been early, that we can nitpick this start where working into the sixth inning, he only allows 3 runs on his ledger, and we're talking about how it might not have been his best or crisp. So if this is his floor, I'll certainly take that. But it's definitely a good learning tool. You can see the Rockies were following along on his pitch sequencing, which became a little bit more predictable in that sixth inning as well. So that's just something that he'll look to learn upon as he navigates through his rookie season. But obviously with this performance, especially in the extreme hitter-friendly environment that we've been seeing all week at Las Vegas Ballpark, I think keeping that opposition to 3 runs is a win in itself. But ran out of a little bit of gas, too, in that sixth, it seemed like. But nevertheless, A's were able to let their bullpen go to work following that inning and come from behind to this victory. They get a power surge in this one to get their offense going, which was shut down through until that fifth inning where they hit the 2 home runs. Langoliers, he crushes his 18th home run on the year, and then Kurtz, they go back-to-back in the inning with 2 outs, which is backbreaking in its own right. He hits his 16th on the year, as both of those seem to be rapidly increasing their power home run total sooner rather than later. Max Muncy looking locked in right away, getting the call back from the injured list. He returns with a 2-hit night here, including an important 2-run double to tie things up in the 6th inning. So very key for Muncy to continue to deliver with these runner in scoring position opportunities. Good to see him back and thriving rather well. And Lawrence Butler with an important 2-for-2 in this one. He came in to pinch hit when the Brewers went to a right-handed reliever to face Colby Thomas. They pinch hit Lawrence Butler to get the lefty-righty advantage on their side. He delivers with a 2-hit night in limited action, including a very important insurance run RBI single in the 8th that gave them just enough breathing room. I think it's a big difference going into that 9th inning, preserving a 1-run lead as to 2. It just takes that much pressure enough off of that closer that he has just a little bit more of wiggle room as compared to looking to complete a tightrope act trying to preserve a 1-run lead. Offense did miss a lot of chances tonight. They were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. It's good to see them generating these opportunities. Just would love to see them consistently cash in on these more for a while. But nevertheless, this is a great come-from-behind victory. Good start to the weekend without a doubt. Grabbing a win and setting up yourselves for an opportunity to win another series. And that's something that's escaped this team this year at a lot of points, is dropping that first game of the series, making life more difficult for the rest of the week or weekend, whatever juncture they're at in their schedule, to be able to come back and secure that 3-game or 4-game series victory. So it's really something the key that I would love to see to track from here on out. I think that improves them to, I believe it's 8-14 on the year in first games of series this year. So hopefully that's something they can get a bit better, get a bit closer to 500 with that, which would mean that over these next few series, they'll be jumping out to good starts. So hopefully that's a trend that turns around. That's something that, we saw in this Colorado series, but they did drop the first one in that wild 12-inning 15-14 affair against Milwaukee. So hopefully we can get a little bit more consistency there. But nevertheless, they are set up now, an opportunity to head into the weekend on Saturday night at Las Vegas Ballpark with an opportunity to win another series and to also secure a winning homestand in Las Vegas. As Game 2 this past Saturday featured Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies up against the A's, who they recently called up this past week. Right-handed pitcher Joey Estes to make this start. Estes getting the call up from Vegas to make a start in this one for his first Major League action of the 2026 season. In the first, the A's would get the scoring started again in this one. Jacob Wilson, welcome back, would deliver a 2-run single to give the A's an early 2-0 lead. In the third, the Rockies would get on the board via a Brett Sullivan solo home run to cut the deficit in half. It's now 2-1. In the fourth, the Rockies would tie the game via a Troy Johnston RBI single. It's now 2-2. In the bottom half of the inning, the A's would get the lead right back, thanks to a thunderous 2-run blast to left center from Zach Geloff, his 9th of the year, as the A's move back ahead now 4-2. In the fifth, Estes would run into some trouble. After a leadoff triple from Kyle Karros, Sullivan would bring him home via a sac fly to narrow the score to 4-3. After a Sterling Thompson single to right, that would bring a close to Estes' day. On comes left-hander Jose Suarez, and after allowing a single and runners on first and third, the Rockies would tie the game at 4 via a run coming home via the passed ball. After a Willie Castro walk, TJ Rumfield would deliver an RBI double as the Rockies now have the lead. They move ahead 5-4. And with that, that would officially close the book on Joey Estes' pitching line. On the day, Estes went 4 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. In the sixth, the A's offense went to work. Alika Williams tied the game via an RBI single as it's now 5-5. Next batter up, Tyler Soderstrom would come through with an RBI double to give the A's this 6-5 lead. After 2 walks loaded the bases, Carlos Cortez was hit by a pitch to bring in another run. Now it's 7-5 A's. Would that hold up? You betcha. For the A's, it would go Estes to Suarez to Barlow to Leiter Jr. to Alvarado, who continues his dominance since his return from AAA, picking up 2 more Ks and his second save of the season to lock this one down. Ball game over. A's take game 2 7-5 and secure the series victory against the Colorado Rockies. So welcome back, Joey Estes Jr. He gets the call up to make this spot start. The A's are running rather thin in the rotation between guys heading to the injured list and a little bit of ineffectiveness, but wanted to get a look at what Estes Jr. can bring in a starting situation, and it was a mixed bag, right? I think you still see a lot of those similar command issues that has held Estes Jr. back from reaching his full potential. And you see when he's working from behind in counts, he just doesn't have the stuff to get it by hitters in terms of consistently anyway, generating that swing and miss based on pure velocity alone. He's someone that does rely on command and working to multiple quadrants of the plate. The moment that he has to hit certain spots to be able to get back into counts, somewhere where he gets a little bit too comfortable in specific zones, that's when hitters can look to 1 to 2 locations and really narrow in on that hitting zone and do some damage against Estes, which we saw in this one. Good to see him back. I think definitely a better showing that we have seen in his times back, but nevertheless, I still think there's room for improvement. He had the strikeout pitch working a little bit, racking up 4 and working into the 5th inning, so that was something good and encouraging to see. We'll see what his next assignment is going to be, whether it's another start with the A's or if he's going to be sent down to AAA and someone else will fill that role, because we'll see later on with our Pittsburgh Pirates series preview that the A's haven't announced their Game 3 starter yet, I believe, and I do think that is to determining who's going to fill that spot. Is it going to be an Estes? Is it going to be a Mason Barnett? Is it going to be a Cade Morris again? So time will tell there. We'll obviously update once that information comes across that desk, but we may not even know until later in the week, so time will tell there. Really good. Jacob Wilson, he's back. He made his return on Friday night going 0 for 3, but then he gets his first hit back off the injured list in this one, getting the scoring started, looking like he's picking up from where he left off with that 2-run single. And his energy just being back in the lineup is so monumental. And we'll get into that a little bit more to kind of take a look inside the numbers at how this team was performing prior to his injury and then after. And once you really see the proof is in the pudding, that you can really truly see how important of a catalyst Jacob Wilson is to the success of this A's team. So definitely really good to have him back playing shortstop every day. And now you're shifting Alika Williams into a utility role that really seems to be getting his feet anchored on this team more and more with the more reps he gets. Really great back and forth in this one. Offense delivering later on, 6th inning on in this one. And this bullpen, in terms of, there's some good nights when these guys really put together some fine performances. And in this one, they gave everything that the A's needed and then some. 3 innings, no runs allowed, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 Ks. That's the pathway to victory. Once you get a lead, you don't relent it with your back end going to work. Elvis Alvarado looks absolutely unhittable at the moment, and I really hope that they've narrowed down the closer opportunities to Hogan Harris if a lefty lane comes through, and then Elvis Alvarado. I think long-term, I'm still a firm believer that Alvarado has the makeup and the effectiveness and the stuff to be your bona fide closer if you want to get closer to establishing an identity as a bullpen. So that's something just to keep an eye on. Alvarado's looking great, and I think that adds something to this bullpen that is looking for answers. It's been better of late. Well, we'll get into the next game where an anomaly really popped up, where it's really going to inflate some of those numbers, not to give too much away, but I'm sure if you are tuning into baseball and you've seen a recap of the Colorado Rockies A's game from yesterday, you'll understand what I mean in a few moments. But nevertheless, Elvis Alvarado, he's been a really brilliant since his return. Whatever he figured out in terms of command, it's really working, and now it's even more of a treat to see him go out there and do his thing, because it's nasty. Everything moves. It's high velo. It's high spin, and he's got all the makings to potentially. The A's are watching the development of their future closer unfold before their very eyes. So something that we will surely track here throughout his career trajectory. Great way to lock down the series victory right away. And now the attention would shift to going for the sweep the following day, which took place yesterday. Sunday, daytime baseball in Vegas. Probably should expect some offense between the increased temperature, the high elevation, being out in the desert, and boy, were there runs scored in this one. Tomoyuki Sugano getting the start for the Rockies, going up against A's left-hander Jeffrey Springs. A's going for the sweep in this one. The bats would get going right from the jump. Hunter Goodman, the catcher from the Rockies, he kicked off the scoring in this one, hammering a 2-run home run to center field to give Colorado the early 2-0 lead. However, the A's would have an immediate answer in the bottom of the first. Things were looking real good for the green and gold early. Tyler Soderstrom knocked in one via an RBI double. Carlos Cortez delivered a 2-run single, and Max Muncy would add a sacrifice fly to cap a 4-run first and give the A's a 4-2 lead. In the second, the Rockies had an answer of their own. Troy Johnston brought home a run via an RBI groundout before Willie Castro deposited a 2-run home run to cap a 5-run inning of their own and move the Rockies ahead 5-4. In the bottom of the second, the A's tied the game 5-5 thanks to an RBI double from Nick Kurtz. The offense would take a break on both sides from scoring in the third inning before ramping back up again in the fourth. Kyle Karros ripped an RBI double to give the Rockies a 6-5 lead before Troy Johnston smashed a 2-run home run to right to move Colorado ahead 8-5. Springs would complete the inning and conclude his day after a rough 4. 4 innings pitched from Springs, 7 hits allowed, 8 runs, 6 of them earned, no walks, 5 Ks, 3 home runs issued. In the bottom half, the A's would inch a little closer via an RBI groundout from Nick Kurtz, as it's now 8-6 Rockies. In the fifth, the Rockies would go off on A's reliever Luis Medina. Hunter Goodman kicked things off with a solo home run to left, his second of the game. Kyle Karros, 3 batters later, delivered an RBI single. Troy Johnston ripped an RBI double. Fulford added a sac fly. Willie Castro laces an RBI single, and Tyler Freeman would cap the 6-run fifth inning via an RBI triple. Once the dust settled, it's now 14-6 Rockies. In the bottom of the inning, Max Muncy mashed a 2-run home run, his third of the year, and first since returning from the injured list, as it's now 14-8. In the seventh, Colorado went to work again, putting this game essentially to bed. Tyler Freeman grounded into an RBI fielder's choice. TJ Rumfield delivered an RBI triple. Hunter Goodman's big game continued as he added an RBI double, and Ezequiel Tovar would cap the 4-run inning with an RBI double of his own. It's now 18-8 Rockies. In the bottom half, Tyler Soderstrom would deliver a solo home run, his 12th Sody pop of the season, as it's now 18-9. The Rockies would add 5 more in the eighth on a Willie Castro grand slam, his second home run of the game, and a TJ Rumfield solo home run to right to make it 23-9. Carlos Cortez Cortez, he got to pitch in the 8th in this one. Ball game over. Broncos beat the Raiders 23-9. Excuse me. Nope. This was indeed a baseball game despite the score. Rockies beat the A's yesterday 23-9 to avoid the sweep. So what an offensive explosion we were treated to in this one. Between the two teams, 32 runs were scored, 39 hits, 8 home runs, with 6 of them being hit by the Rockies and 2 by the A's. Rockies went 10 for 19 with runners in scoring position in this one. Talking about cashing in on multiple opportunities when you have traffic on the base paths and not leaving them stranded to go out there and continue to put pressure on the opposition. This one, just flat out, the A's pitching fell apart. 23 runs allowed, 24 hits, 5 walks, 8 home runs. Now, if this was at Sutter Health or even a game on the road, I would, and I understand that the elements are pretty similar at Sutter Health, but it does seem like the hitter-friendly environments are really heightened even more at this Las Vegas ballpark. So it's really tough to get a full gauge on is it purely ineffectiveness and lack of execution. Yes, I'm sure missing locations isn't going to serve you well no matter where you're playing or pitching, because these are professional hitters at the end of the day. But do I feel like in most places they allow 23 runs? I don't think so. It probably still is a double-digit margin. It's unacceptable, and it's something that I hope that the A's pitching staff takes this personally, because it's a really embarrassing day from optics. And after all the goodwill he built up, winning 4 out of 5 on this Las Vegas homestand, you kind of end it with a really sour taste in your mouth. And I know it was a successful week, it seemed like, all in all, in terms of the reception from the Las Vegas community and being able, at the end of the day, and we'll build on the positives here in a second, you won both series. But just the way ending like that was just a really doing it in a shocking fashion. So that's all. All in all, disappointing day. It's been a rough month for Jeffrey Springs. Another tough one in this one, giving up the 6 earned runs over 4 innings of work. It's been a tough June. He's made 3 starts, 0-1 with a 10.66 ERA, 12 2/3 innings pitched, 22 hits allowed, 15 runs, 7 home runs allowed, 3 walks, 11 Ks, a 367 opponent batting average against. That is just not going to get it done. And especially at this juncture of the season, where we've mentioned earlier that this A's starting rotation's depth is really being tested. They have a lot of youth in it now, between the combination of Ginn and Jump, and now, with Aaron Sabali being on the injured list, and Luis Severino being on the injured list, Jacob Lopez being sent down to AAA, and then having an opportunity to get a look at a Cade Morris and seeing if Joey Estes Jr. can put it together. There is a lot of question marks here where you need a veteran like Jeffrey Springs, who started off the season so strong, needs to come out of this funk, because he was brought here to be that stabilizing veteran presence. And over this last month, just flat out, he hasn't been. And I think he'll be the first to tell you himself. And I think he is someone that is primed to learn eventually and build upon these struggles and get back to the quality pitcher that we know he can be. But right now, it just hasn't been working. He's been even diving further into being that fly ball pitcher, which is why you're seeing that home run total increase at a rapid rate. So again, I know pitching in this Las Vegas ballpark isn't going to do him any favors. I believe 2 of those starts were in Vegas, so certainly tough for him to have to navigate that. But at the end of the day, you got to hit your spots, you got to pitch to softer contact, and you got to work more efficiently ahead in the count, because when you're missing in those hitter-friendly locations, it's going to be bad news no matter who you're going up against. Really tough outcome in the game, but nevertheless, let's talk about the positives. They won the series. They take 2 out of 3 against the Rockies, and in fact, they have a winning trip in Vegas, winning 4 out of 6. They go 4-2. They take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, take 2 out of 3 from the Rocks. So it's what you went there on a mission to do, to win series. And that's what playoff teams do. They continue to find ways to win series. And especially when you are the home team, that is important, because you are going to go on the road and have those struggles, because that is why the term is coined home field advantage, not road team advantage. So, but nevertheless, the A's take care of business during this Las Vegas week. It was a great showcase for the people of Las Vegas to eventually see. A lot of these guys are probably going to be in Vegas, you would think, at least on the offensive position player side of things. They have this young core developing, this young nucleus. So it's good to see these fans having the opportunity to see Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom. All these guys that are going to be a major part of what this A's team is eventually going to become when they are there in their new home of Las Vegas. So it's really good. Also in this series, you get Jay Willie back, like we mentioned. And Lawrence Butler, he's showing signs of life. He gets 5 hits in this series. He had that big moment to secure the series victory and the game against the Brewers. Hopefully this is the sign of good things to come for Lawrence. I think he was really getting at that crossing roads where he was losing out on playing time due to the effectiveness and productivity of Henry Bolte. But now with Brent Rooker hitting the injured list, there's going to be a little bit more flexibility who's working into and out of the designated hitter position. So perhaps there are going to be more opportunities for Butler to show this A's team, hey, he's still got it in him. He's making his adjustments. And that hard contact that was hitting right to defenders, running into a little recent tough luck, may in fact lead him to being on the path that we all know that the log dog can truly be. And over this course, this A's offense was cooking. And hopefully this is something that gets them on that trajectory that they were at last year, that they were a top 10 unit. They haven't been quite as consistent or productive, but this week is really going to be a big help and hopefully a springboard for the rest of the season in terms of as a offensive collective. Over the week, over 6 games, they had batted .316. They scored 47 runs, hit 20 home runs, 16 doubles, collected 71 hits. Talking about supporting your team's pitching staff to go out there and let them do their work. And I know they had a tough games mixed in there, but nevertheless, it's a winning week, and it's good to see the offense showing lots of life, even if it was a bit aided by the elements of Las Vegas Ballpark. The A's surely capitalized on those opportunities. And you leave this week where Tyler Soderstrom seems like he's one of the hottest hitters on the planet, and Nick Kurtz is hitting home runs at will. Good to see the middle of their order bats really starting to wake up, and hopefully seeing a bunch of these go through the hoop is really going to continue to spring the resurgence. And I think Nick Kurtz has been pretty consistent following the first, I'll call it a couple weeks of the season where he was getting into a rhythm, but he really came into his own, obviously, in the month of May, and it's continuing at a sizzling pace in June. I think more of the struggles were focused on Tyler Soderstrom for the course and the duration of the month of April, but also for him, May has really seen him start to come to life, and then June, he's been absolutely sizzling. So really some encouraging signs there. Through this series, the A's improved to 35-36, and before Monday's action, the A's enter only a game out of first place behind the Seattle Mariners. So they are right in the thick of things. They're taking care of business against these teams at home now. Let's see if it can continue in West Sacramento. Before we move on to some injury updates and the next series preview against the Pirates, let's hand out 3-star performers for their work this weekend in a series win against Colorado. So for our 3-star performers, if you don't hear a couple of regulars, just because we wanted to show some shine on some other guys that stepped up in a big way to help be contributors to this series victory. We can give Nick Kurtz, I feel, an award every series, so we just want to shout out some other guys that maybe don't always get love week in and week out. But for our 3 stars, for our 3rd star, we're giving it to the log dog, Lawrence Butler. He went 5 for 9 in the series. I thought it was really important, his contributions in that game 1 come from behind victory, being locked in from the start, even though he wasn't getting the start, enters the game late, gets 2 hits, including an important RBI single at the end in the 8th inning of that first game to provide that insurance, enough breathing room to let the bullpen finish off that 6-4 victory. But really encouraging to see Butler starting to turn it around. And once we see him, we saw that blast he hit against Milwaukee, but once he starts stringing those together, I think we are going to be in line for another Butler hot streak. So this may be the start of it without a doubt. Our 2nd star, we're going to give it to Zach Geloff. He went 5 for 14 in the series with a home run, 2 RBIs, a double, and a stolen base. Geloff, he hits his 9th home run of the season in this series during Game 2, I believe, and was a intriguing force as he was on in each of these games in this series, playing stellar defense and is continuing. I think he has his average up to 271. Really encouraging stuff from what we see as the rediscovery of Zach Geloff that we saw back when he got called up a few years ago, and now he's putting it all together, and he's a very enjoyable player to watch. And then for our first star performer, it was because of the situational hitting that occurred here. We're giving it to Max Muncy. Welcome back, Muntz. He went 3 for 10 in the series with a home run, a double, 5 RBIs. He had 2 game-tying knocks in this series, which led to this series victory. So I thought it was important that Muncy gets his shine here and gets the A's Day first star of the 3-star performers. Congrats to our standout performers as we now shift our focus to some injury news, where it was 1 positive return from the injured list and 1 negative headed to the injured list in a correlating transaction. A surging A's offense has received an extra jolt with the return of its spark plug. Jacob Wilson returned from the injured list and was back in the A's starting lineup for the Friday series opener against the Rockies at Las Vegas Ballpark. His return from a month-long injured list stint due to a left shoulder subluxation is a welcome sight for a squad that was 21-19 at the time of his injury and went 12-16 in the 28 games he missed. As much of an impact as Wilson, who was batting .292 with a .709 OPS, brings with his bat, the shortstop's glove is just as important for a defense that has struggled in his absence. The A's entered Friday having committed 20 errors in the 28 games since Wilson went to the IL after making just 8 errors over the first 40 games as a collective to start the season. Wilson returned eager to join in on what has been a remarkable display of power by the A's during this past Las Vegas series. Over a 3-game series against the Brewers, which ended this past Wednesday, the A's tied the franchise record for most home runs over a 3-game stretch with 15. There was a downside to Wilson's return. As a corresponding move, Brent Rooker, who had missed the previous 2 games due to lingering knee soreness, was placed on the 10-day injured list with a bone bruise in his left knee. The injury continues a rough start for Rooker on the year, who is already up to 2 IL placements after playing all 162 of the A's games last season. Rooker missed about 3 weeks with an oblique strain in April. When healthy, the 31-year-old has slashed a disappointing 200 batting average, a 281 on base, and 389 slugging percentage, which is good for an 82 WRC plus with 10 home runs and 203 plate appearances. Rooker's 32% strikeout rate is up nearly 10 points from last year's mark, while his .312 expected WOBA is not significantly better than an underwhelming .294 WOBA. Rooker's struggles have come as a surprise as the former waiver claim entered 2026 off 3 straight 30-home run campaigns. The A's gave him a 5-year, $60 million extension in January of 2025, at which point he was coming off a career season. Rooker walked to the plate 614 times back in 2024 and slashed .293, a .365 on base, and .562 slug with 39 home runs and the major's 6th best WRC plus at 164. While his numbers took sizable steps back last year, he still batted .262, a .335 on base, and .479 slug, which translated to a 122 WRC plus with 30 home runs and 699 trips to the plate. The A's will likely use a committee approach at designated hitter for the time being, like we hinted at. Carlos Cortez got most of the run there during Rooker's first injured list stint. Cortez is hitting .310 with a .396 on base and .494 slugging percentage across 182 plate appearances and has remained a regular in the corner outfield. Giving him a few more DH reps could get Lawrence Butler back more regularly in the lineup after, like we mentioned, he was supplanted by center fielder Henry Bolte. Wilson draws back in at shortstop as the number 5 hitter. His return moves Alika Williams into a utility role. Wilson, who has hit .292, a .311 on base, and .398 slug through 168 plate appearances, is back from a month-long absence due to a dislocated left shoulder. He went 1 for 7 this weekend, over the weekend, with that 2-run single in Saturday's victory. So good to see Jacob Wilson back. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode, the energy he brings is unmatched. He just has that pure passion, focus, and relentlessness that he wants to win at every aspect of each game on a nightly basis. That guy's a fierce competitor. He also has fun doing it too as well. And I feel like that energy feeds all throughout this A's roster when he's in there. And you see everyone is more in tune, especially defensively. When Wilson's all in the middle of the action, he's making highlight play after highlight play. He does everything that you would want in a leader on this team. And I think as Wilson goes, this team goes. So it's definitely a welcome sight that you feel the defense will get shored up the middle more consistently. But just, I feel the overall effort is going to be at an all-time high, similar to what it was before Wilson hit the injured list. So welcome back there. Brent Rooker, get well soon. It's been a really frustrating season for him thus far. This is the second time he's hitting the injured list. It just feels like it hasn't gotten off at all this season for Rooker. Like, it just seems like when he takes a step forward, it's a couple steps backward. It just seems like something has gotten his way to get back to the perennial 30 home run per year player that he's proven to be over the last 3 seasons, the 2-time All-Star that he's proven to be. It just hasn't been there. The strikeouts have been at an alarming rate. He's chasing outside of his zone more frequently. But I think a lot of it has been the frustrations between not really getting a clean lane to have full go to get your A swing off. I feel like Rooker, even when he returned from that oblique injury, it took him a while to get his timing back. And you wonder, just being in that beat-up nature, that you try to extend yourself outside of your body to try to do a little bit too much to try to get things going. So I think Rooker, just clear mind, full heart, when he goes on the injured list here, hopefully he comes back rearing to go at the top middle portion of this order. But tough for Rook. He will be missed, and looking forward to seeing how the A's replace his production. This episode is also brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento. Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms, supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities, including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant, serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workspaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you're attending an event, planning a meeting, or exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment, and cultural attractions, our downtown location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full-service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. The A's, as we move to our back half of our show, continue to be the home team, but are now back home from Vegas and back in West Sacramento. Tonight, they start the first of 3 hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates at Sutter Health Park. The Pirates come in with a record of 36-36 and are led by manager Don Kelly. In their latest series, the Pirates lost 2 out of 3 at home to the Miami Marlins. They lost Game 1 8-3 before coming back to win Saturday's Game 3-2. And then they lost yesterday's rubber match at PNC Park 4-2. Let's take a look at this Pittsburgh offense. And they have been one of the better units across all of baseball, a far cry to their struggles in 2025. On the year thus far, they're hitting .252 as a team, which is 7th in baseball. They've hit 85 home runs, which is 13th. They've scored 359 runs, which is tied for 4th. They've walked 280 times, which is 6th. They've struck out 670 times, which is the second most. And they've hit to a .737 OPS, which is 7th. On the mound, they've pitched it to a .422 ERA, which is 18th. They've walked 267 batters, which is 22nd. They've struck out 656, which is 4th. And they've pitched to a .130 whip, which is 17th. And defensively, they haven't done this pitching staff any favors. They fielded it at a .982 fielding percentage, which is 25th in baseball. And their 45 errors committed is 27th. Now, let's take a look at the game times and starting pitching matchups so what you can know when you can enjoy this Pirates-A's series. Again, set to kick off tonight. Game 1 tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Jared Jones getting the ball for Pittsburgh, going up against JT Ginn. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, Game 2, also a 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Mitch Keller getting the ball for the Pirates, going up against Jack Perkins. And then the rubber match of this 3-game set, Wednesday, also a 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch start. Braxton Ashcraft is going to be getting the ball for the Pirates. The A's, at the time of recording, have not announced their Game 3 starter. Let's get to know these Pirates starters that these A's hitters are going to have to face off against. So tonight's starter is right-handed pitcher Jared Jones. On the year thus far, he has made 3 starts, pitching a 1-0 record with a 4.73 ERA in 13 1/3 innings pitched. He's walked 5 batters, struck out 14, and has pitched to a 1.43 whip. In his last start against the Dodgers, he got the no decision. The team did get the victory. He went 4 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. On the year so far, his fastball has averaged 98.8 miles per hour, which ranks in the 98th percentile of all qualified pitchers, according to Baseball Savant. Jared Jones is a 24-year-old starting pitcher who recently made a highly anticipated return to the major league rotation. After missing over a year due to UCL elbow surgery suffered in May of 2025, Jones completed a dominant minor league rehab assignment and rejoined the Pirates' big league staff on May 29th of this year. Twitchy, explosive athlete with elite arm speed. Despite a slightly smaller frame, for a modern power pitcher, he generates immense extension and raw horsepower out of a highly dynamic delivery. Scouts have noted a marked improvement in his mound presence and emotional control. He no longer lets high pitch counts or bad luck unravel his execution. Jones relies heavily on secondary offerings, roughly 61% usage since last season, a mix that enhances his effectiveness while managing the workload on his surgically repaired elbow. His four-seam fastball averages 96-98 miles an hour and effortlessly touches 100 with hard riding life up in the strike zone. His slider is his primary weapon to miss bats. It features heavy gyro movement rather than sweeping horizontal break, tunneling perfectly out of the fastball slot to stifle both lefties and righties. His curveball is a low 80s vertical breaker with excellent depth, giving him a distinct look to alter a hitter's eye level. His changeup, sitting firmly in the 90 to 93 mile an hour range, lags slightly behind his breaking stuff in consistency, but its velocity separation is just enough to disrupt a hitter's timing. Jones features plus control with a career minor to major league walk rate holding steady around 7.7% to 8.5%. He fills the zone efficiently, but is still working on hitting exact catcher spots to prevent damage. The Pirates are carefully monitoring his workload. In his first 3 June starts, he has been capped under the 80-pitch mark, averaging 74 to 77 pitches per outing to control post-surgery wear and tear. So something to keep an eye on. If the A's can make Jones work early, they can get into that Pittsburgh bullpen sooner rather than later. Game 2 starter is right-handed pitcher Mitch Keller. He'll be getting the ball for the Pirates tomorrow for Tuesday's game. He has made 14 starts on the year thus far, pitching to a 5-4 record with a 5.14 ERA. In 77 innings pitched, he's walked 27 batters, struck out 58, and has pitched to a 1.31 whip. In his last start, he lost against the Dodgers, going 4 innings, allowing 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, 3 Ks. His fastball has averaged 93 miles an hour on the year thus far. Pirates right-hander Mitch Keller is enduring a severe midseason regression, shifting from an elite front-line starter in April to the weakest link in the Pirates rotation. Keller opened the season beautifully, holding a 2.87 ERA through early May. However, a disastrous stretch over the last month has altered his outlook, raising concerns about his baseline consistency and second-half durability. Keller's baseline metrics have eroded heavily due to the recent shelling. Over his last 3 starts, he has failed to finish 5 frames, yielding 18 runs over 12 2/3 innings, a 12.79 ERA over that span. Keller relies on a power mix that features high velocity, but his sequencing and execution have broken down over the last 30 days. His fastball sits comfortably at 93 to 95 and can touch 97 to 98 with heavy sinking action. When he is locked in, it creates ground balls and missed bats, but he is currently struggling to command it to the edges of the strike zone. His curveball slider are his primary secondary out pitches. He features an 11 to 5 power curveball, but opposing hitters have recently been laying off his breaking stuff, forcing him to rely too heavy on his fastball. His changeup is a continued work in progress, average off-speed offering that drops late but lacks elite deception. Keller's primary issue is an uncharacteristic inability to execute with 2 strikes. Though his underlying stats ahead in the count are identical to his career norm, he is routinely leaving pitches over the heart of the plate or completely missing the zone, forcing high pitch counts early in games, throwing 98 pitches in his last start against the Dodgers in just 4 innings of work. Hitters are squaring him up with ease. In his recent outings, top-tier offenses like the Dodgers have routinely generated exit velocities over 100 miles an hour against his fastball. He has allowed at least 4 runs in 5 of his last 6 starts. Historically, Keller has been prone to mid to late summer slumps. There is some concern that his typical second-half pumpkin turn has arrived exceptionally early this season, creating a major problem for a young Pirates rotation trying to stay afloat in the postseason race. So perhaps the A's are catching Keller at the right time to have some very hitter-friendly pitches to be able to do some damage on and to add to those high average exit velocity counts, because the A's, they hit the ball far and with some massive velocity. So there could be an opportunity in this one without a doubt. Kind of a different story for Wednesday's game. Braxton Ashcraft is the Pirates' Game 3 starter, the right-handed pitcher. He's been having a phenomenal breakout season. He's made 14 starts on the year, pitching to a 5-3 record with a 3.30 ERA, and 84 2/3 innings pitched. He's walked 19 batters, struck out 90, and has pitched to a 1.10 WHIP. In his last start against the Marlins, he went 5 innings. They lost, but it wasn't due to his performance. He went 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. His fastball thus far has averaged 96.9 miles an hour, which ranks in the 86th percentile of all qualified pitchers. From there, he has generated a 36 chase percentage, which is in the 92nd percentile, a 26.2 K percentage, which is 77th percentile, a 5.5 walk percentage, which is 90th, a 3.03 expected ERA, which is in the 83rd percentile, and a 46.7 ground ball percentage is in the 69th percentile. So someone that could certainly see some success in a header-friendly park like Sutter Health Park if he can keep the ball on the ground and stay with his ground ball percentage norms. Ashcraft is cementing himself as a legitimate breakout starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, establishing himself as a highly efficient inning eater with true missing bat capability. Emerging from the shadow of teammate Paul Skeens, Ashcraft has built an impressive resume over 14 starts this season. However, a pair of shorter, more turbulent outings in early June suggests that fatigue may be creeping in as he approaches his career-high workload threshold. Ashcraft features a powerhouse 5-pitch mix that centers around his ability to pound the strike zone aggressively and generate elite swing and miss depth. His four-seam fastball and sinker are his primary velocity offerings, sitting consistently at 96 to 97. The four-seamer features roughly 10 inches of arm side run and a steep vertical drop, serving as his main tool against left-handed hitters. The slider, this is his absolute best weapon, thrown at an exceptional firm 91.8 miles an hour and frequently touching 95. It behaves like a hard cutter with a sharp 28-inch vertical bite, yielding a dominant 38.8% whiff rate. His split-finger fastball is the critical addition to his 2026 mix. He deploys this 91 to 92 mile-an-hour splitter exclusively against lefties to neutralize opposing lineups and mitigate a previous lack of an effective off-speed pitch. His curveball serves as his primary put-away option against both sides of the plate. His curveball has seen its vertical effectiveness surge, jumping from a 36.6% whiff rate last season to an elite 50.9% whiff rate this season. He works, as we talk about some of his strengths and execution, and he works with an elite strike zone efficiency. Ashcraft avoids beating himself. He is highly likely to throw a first pitch strike and boasts a fantastic 90 to 19 strikeout to walk ratio. His perimeter chase induction, his 94th percentile chase rate, forces hitters to expand their zones, making his hard slider and breaking stuff impossible to lay off when he is ahead in counts. There is no injury hangover here. Benefiting from his first entirely healthy offseason in years, his physical development and baseline velocity have visibly scaled up. Some weaknesses that he does display in development risks, vulnerability to some hard contact. Because Ashcraft aggressively hunts the strike zone, he is susceptible to being ambushed or giving up loud contact when his command is slightly off. This was apparent on his June 6th start when the Braves tagged him for a season-high 9 hits and 6 earned runs. Left-handed hitters historically track his ball better than righties, holding a notably higher WOBA against him. He relies heavily on the heavy implementation of right-on-left curveballs and his new splitter to bridge this gap. Ashcraft didn't complete more than 5 innings in his first 2 starts of June. Having already logged 84 2/3 innings, he is rapidly closing in on the career-high 118 innings he completed across all levels last year, meaning the Pirates may monitor or throttle his workload as summer progresses. Even as that fatigue sets in, I do believe this will be the toughest customer the A's offense will be going up against this weekend. Let's take a look at some A's hitter history against these Pirates starters. Not a ton of head-to-head here. For example, against Jared Jones, the only player to have faced him is Jeff McNeil. He is 0 for 2 lifetime. There's a little bit more against Mitch Keller. Shea Langoliers is 2 for 7 lifetime with a home run. Jeff McNeil is 2 for 17 lifetime as well, but he also has a home run lifetime against Keller. Kurtz is 1 for 2 lifetime with a homer, and Lawrence Butler has a home run to his name as well. As for their history against Braxton Ashcraft, it wasn't as extensive as against a Mitch Keller, but still a little bit here. The only one to really have any success against him was Jonah Heim. He went 1 for 1 with a double, and forgot to include this, but against Keller, Butler 1 for 6 lifetime, but he does have a home run to his name. These two teams head-to-head, they faced once due to being interleague opponents. The Pirates took that series victory 2 out of 3. They went 2-1 over a series in Pittsburgh last September 18th to the 20th, where the A's took Game 1 4-3 before the Pirates pitched back-to-back shutouts, winning the final 2 in this 3-game set to preserve the series victory as they took Game 2, being victorious 2-0, and won the rubber match of this 3-game set 11-0. Some Pirates players to watch in this series are Ryan O'Hearn, who's hitting .275 on the year with 10 home runs, 35 RBIs, and a .791 OPS. Brandon Lowe, the second baseman, is hitting .240 with 17 home runs and 46 RBIs. Both of those homers and RBI categories lead the Pirates, and he's hitting to an .837 OPS. And Brian Reynolds, the longtime Pirate, he's hitting .270 on the year with 8 homers, 42 RBIs, and an .834 OPS. All right, it is A's Day prediction time before we get on out of here and prepare for the A's action to kick off this week later this evening. We are going to make our official prediction as for this series. Shea Langoliers in the last series, he keeps our streak going. We're going to look to keep it going against the Pirates in this one. A's Day home run prediction, we select Nick Kurtz is going to homer at least once in this series against the Pirates. And as for a series prediction, we do believe the good times are going to continue to roll. We believe that the A's are going to take 2 out of 3 in the series by again taking the first 2 in this one. We do believe they'll win tonight, a close one 4-3. We do think they'll have some good opportunities against Mitch Keller tomorrow and open it up a little bit more, winning 8-5. But before we feel the Pirates will storm back to avoid being swept and taking the third game of the 3-game set 6-2. So those are our predictions. Hope you all have the wonderful opportunity to tune in and take in the Pirates-A's set again to kick off tonight. First pitch, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time from West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park. Jared Jones getting the ball for the Pirates. He'll be going up against J.T. Ginn. Looking forward to seeing how the A's fare in this interleague matchup. Two very, I think, pretty evenly matched teams. So I think it's going to be a pretty competitive series. I do think the A's are going to have the slight edge here. I think these are two prolific offenses, so I don't know if those scores might be a little bit too low. We'll see. Time will tell there. Wouldn't be surprised if we see perhaps at least one football score in this series due to the hitter-friendly environments of Sutter Health Park. But the Pirates coming in with their top 10 offense and the A's coming off a week where they scored nearly 50 runs and scored 20 and hit 20 home runs. I do think these two offenses meeting together, we could see a lot of offensive fireworks. Time will tell there. But with that brings us to the close of another edition of A's Day. Appreciate you all stopping by. And we will be back behind the mic for Thursday's show as we are going to recap what goes down in this Pittsburgh series, any other A's news that comes across our desk throughout the rest of today until Thursday's show. And then we'll be sure to provide another preview for us to head into the weekend. We'll have an announcement on Thursday's show as well, as the A's will be taking on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim to conclude this homestand. That'll be a 4-game set, important AL West games that they'll need to get, but they've got 3 important ones in front of them to get first. So we can't wait to experience all the A's action this week and then be back behind the mic a day sooner than expected, which means we'll get to meet just that much quicker. Looking forward to that. As always, we appreciate all of your support, and we love sharing our thoughts on A's baseball with you, the lovely audience. That's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed today's show. A's are looking to keep the good time rolling, and maybe, just maybe, if they take care of business this week, by the time we meet next episode, they could be back in first place. Take care, everyone. Have a great start to your week, and we'll see you here for Thursday's show. Until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.